You are listening to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where illumination and inspiration is but a click away. With so many genre topics for you on everything that you need to know in life. We celebrate and share the people who have taken the journey before you and who are now here to serve you with their wisdom and their knowledge. The next show coming up is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Eco Solutions right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sara Troy, and my guest today, the lovely beeping going on in the background, sorry, is Duane Stjernholm. He actually has a Danish name, but we're not pronouncing the J, so no offense to any Danish people out there. It's the future of agricultural cultivated industrial hemp and how the cooperatives are in the integral part of it. Hemp has been around forever. Hemp is absolutely a brilliant product. Hemp has so many benefits across the board that serves the planet, that serves us human beings, that serves us in so many ways. And yet, for so long, it was banned. Oh, you could get high off hemp. And it just stopped production of it altogether. Well, now that has changed, and one can actually start growing hemp. But that doesn't mean everybody just goes out and grow willy-nilly. There is a process to it. And this is what Duane has done. He's got this process to it. Of course, when he took it on, he didn't know it was as big as it is. But we're going to find out exactly the wonderful benefits of hemp, exactly what you do to go about doing the process, really what it can replace, like trees and so many things. Of course, we know for it for CBD oil. Sorry, dyslexia. I constantly get those letters the wrong way around. It's a great oil. I use it myself. Fantastic. But that's not the only use for it. It's used in clothing. That's not the only use for it. If we plant a field of hemp, the amount of oxygen it puts out will replace the forest. So let's look to the benefits of it, how it's being processed, and where the market is for it. Now, I had Duane on before over another wonderful product which he's put on hold right now, which is a community of like-souled and like-spirited people that came together to support and enable one another and this humanity on this planet. But he's just put a pause in that, put a pin in it right now, because he's gone down this road and it's taking all his time. But we will go back and talk about that a little bit because it's not gone forever. You're a busy man, Duane. Busy, busy, busy.
Well, you rest your rest, I guess.
Yes, yeah, they're going to say when you're dead, right?
Yeah.
And what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Yes.
Well, we had the big picture of the other United Earth Ecclesia, and now we've taken it down to the local level because all politics are local, and we want to bring economic prosperity back to rural America where it's been missing for so long. And hemp's the plant to do that. And hemp is cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
All hemp is cannabis, but not all cannabis is hemp.
Right.
It has to have a 0.3% or less percent of THC to be considered hemp. The only way you can get high off hemp is to make a rope out of it and climb a tree.
Good kind of high.
Yeah. But it does have wonderful benefits. Right now, everybody has jumped on the CBD bandwagon, and
Yes.
that's great because CBD does have some great medicinal purposes. But there's a lot more to the hemp plant than just CBD. And we're focused at the Colorado Hemp Processing Cooperative. We're focused on using the entire plant because different parts of the plant can be used for different things. What we're proposing for our processing plant when we get it up and running is we'll be doing whole plant processing, and we'll produce 4 raw materials. Actually 5. The 4 from the plant are the clean and sorted, separated seed. All the seed doesn't mature at the same time, so you have to separate out the mature seeds from the immature seeds. And then you have to separate that from the leaves and the stems. and then the residual flour that you also can capture when you harvest the seeds. So we have one product is the seeds, and they can be used for a lot of different things. They can be used for food, and probably the
Mm-hmm.
best thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Food, clothing, housing. Those three. The hemp can supply all three of those, and the food we start with the seed, and that's the food aspect. But you can a lot of the cosmetics are made from the oil out of the
Yes.
oil seed, and you can even turn the oil seed into biodiesel
Oh.
to run your car. Um, so that there's a lot of uses for the seed. The flour, that's typically what's being processed to extract the CBD. When a hemp plant is pollinated, the levels of CBD go down. So that's why the CBD growers only use the female plants. They don't want them to be pollinated because their value goes down. So that consequently, they have to go through a lot more steps in growing their hemp. First of all, they only use female plants. Um, Hemp is normally dioecious, which means it has male plants and female plants. And so they only use the female plants. They don't want the pollination. So in order to get only female plants, you either have to do clones or you have to do what they call feminized seed. And that's a very complicated process. Sometimes they use uh, silver, uh, colloidal silver,
Mm-hmm.
and different things to make the plant just do feminized seed. And even feminized seed is not 100% feminized. You're still going to get a few males in there.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you use feminized seed, which costs last year $25,000 a pound,
Wow.
uh,
Okay.
you're
Now
not
we
going to
know
get
why it's so
100%.
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to go walk your fields and make sure that no males have sprung up. And then the other thing is the hemp plant has the capability of becoming hermaphroditic. So the
Mm-hmm.
females can actually have a male part to them, and they can also do pollen. So they have to watch out for that. So, and then there's a lot of handwork if you're planting from seedlings or from clones. Uh, you have to plant the live plants just like the tobacco guys used to do, and so that's a lot of handwork. And then also the harvesting is a lot of handwork, and then they have to dry it and all of that. And so there's just a lot of work involved. My cousin works for the Natural Resources Conservation Service over on the other side of the Colorado, and they've estimated over there that it costs $15,000 an acre just to grow a 1 acre plot of CBD hemp. So that's a lot of output, so you got to make sure that you get a lot of remuneration for that. um,
No, that sort of explains why it is so expensive. I mean, it's
yes,
also
yes.
being prescribed by doctors and really encouraged by it now, and it really does work on a numerous amount of things. So I can
And it
see the
even works for
popularity.
pets.
Yes, oh yeah. No, I mean, any living tissue, it's absolutely
Right,
brilliant for on so many scales. But I now understand why it's so expensive, because you get a tiny little bottle,
right.
and it's really, really expensive. And obviously, maybe that's been already diluted or added stuff to it. So,
Yeah,
now when you actually understand the process, you have a lot more respect for
right.
the work that's being put into it and for the end product. So that's fine. We'll pay
Yeah,
that price because of the work being done.
right. Well, and like I said, the CBD market's always going to be there, and that's great. But we want to use the whole plant. That's
Yeah.
that's the other problem with the CBD guys. They just use the flower mostly of the plant rather than the whole plant. And right now, we've around Colorado, we've got tons and tons of these hemp stalks just laying around that they don't want to really throw them away because they think there's some value there, but you can't really process them in the more traditional way with a decorticator because decorticators require a tall, straight plant, whereas the plants that the CBD guys they only plant one plant every 3 to 5 feet, and so the plants get kind of bushy and they're shorter, and so they don't run through a decorticator very well. So you can't really separate them into the two components: the bast, which is the outside bark part, and the hurd, which is the inside pith part. And those two products are the other two products that we'll be producing from the whole hemp plant. So we've got the seed, the flower, the bast, and the hurd from the stalks, but we've also got all this waste product from the CBD guys and even the medical and rec marijuana guys here in Colorado, because they basically do the same thing as the CBD growers. They just use the flower and not the rest of the stalk. Uh, but the laws have changed here in Colorado, so we can be allowed to process those stalks into something useful rather than just having them go to waste. Before that, they were having to adulterate them and put them in a landfill, and the landfill started saying, "Wait, we don't want all this stuff in our landfill." So they did change the laws for that. So what we're going to do with all that waste product, because nobody's growing agriculturally cultivated industrial hemp right now, because the money's at the CBD. Unfortunately, the supply demand curves of the CBD market are going to cross at some point, and it's not going to be as lucrative to grow for the CBD and pay that $15,000 an acre that it costs just to grow it. So we're going to take that waste and turn it into what's called biochar. And biochar has been around for about 3,000 years plus, probably. They first discovered it down in the Amazon. The native Indian populations down there, which were sizable, they had the same problem that we have in modern society. We have all this waste. You got food waste, you got human waste, and so they started burning it and then putting it back in their soil. I didn't realize how really poor the soil was in the Amazon. You think it'd be all rich, but it's not. A friend of mine that was down there, he said that some of the trees down there, the roots actually come back up out of the ground to get this amount of nutrients from the leaves and stuff that have fallen on the ground, because the ground itself is so poor. But the native populations started burning all their waste and then putting that back on the soil, and they found that it helped the soil to rejuvenate and made the soil microbiome much healthier, and so they could grow a lot better crops there.
Actually, to pause you there on that one, I mean, normally, like for organic field, if I remember this right, it's like 10 years you have to leave a land for it to be, enriched again before you can regrow on that land, which of course is so unfeasible with the amount of demand today. So with the hemp waste, will it
it will expedite the process.
Right.
It'll expedite the remediation process, and it'll also like the fields that have been used to grow GMO crops, like especially GMO corn. Because of that whole GMO thing, they have all these chemicals they have to put on that to get it to grow properly. And unfortunately, those chemicals are killing the microbiome under the soil.
They're also killing people too.
That
the amount
too.
of diseases that are coming out from the GMO.
Yeah, we're not what is that? Glucose intolerant. We're glyphosate intolerant.
Yes. No, we have done quite a number of shows on the GMO, and really it's changing the chemistry of our body, and it's causing so many issues and brain problems and numerous issues. So if we could replace the GMO with the hemp, that seems to be a natural no-brainer.
Yeah, and hemp is a natural phytoremediator, and it can help make the soil better. But with you add the biochar into the soil, and you can't just add it. You have to do what they call charge it up with some microbiome. And there's a natural way to do this, if the government will get out of the way and let us do it. If you feed it to cattle, if you feed a small amount of biochar to cattle, it goes through the animal's digestive system, and it picks up some of the microbiome in the stomach. It helps make a healthier animal, and it also cuts down the amount of emissions, gas emissions from the animal. So there's a lot of benefits there. And then you can also, if you have like a feedlot where you have a lot of cattle, you can just take the biochar and put it on the ground there, and the manure that's already there will help charge it up with the microbiome. Plus, it retains water, so it holds down the dust, and it also absorbs odors, so the feedlots are not going to smell as bad. So there's a lot of benefits to it.
Yes.
And then you can take that manure that has the biochar that's charged up with the microbiome, and you can take that and put it back on your fields, and you've got the short-term carbon, you got the long-term carbon, and you got the microbiome. So you're going to have a all natural way to make that soil better and make the microbiome in the soil more healthy, which if you have a healthy soil, you're going to have healthy plants.
Right.
And so you're going to have less need for pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and all of that.
So really what we're looking at here is, government, we know most of the time is in bed with industry and corporations.
Yes.
Pesticide has been banned pretty well everywhere in the world but America.
Yes.
We know that this is just handout, right? The same with pharmaceutical.
Sure.
We know that hemp and OCB oil and all of these type of things are the cure, but obviously pharmaceutical does not want to see that. That's their interest, so they're going to make sure they put the barriers in the way by using the politicians with these laws, right? Coming up with something that's going to scare people, which is completely wrong. Why don't the farmers and everyone get together and actually put not only a proposal, but a lovely little simple that even somebody in the White House could understand video together on exactly the benefits of it, where they don't need the pesticide, where you don't need the GMO, where the productivity will be better, reducing the gases, more carbon in the air, more moisture into the land. So if you've got parched lands like California and a few other places that have had it, it helps with that. All of these benefits, if you put it in a very simple little sketch type thing, and show it to them, you have to keep it simple for the politicians.
Yeah. Well, I am fortunate enough to, in Colorado, once hemp was taken off Schedule 1, the state.
So it's the restriction.
That's the restriction at the federal level.
Right.
That happened with the Farm Bill back in December of 2018. So hemp is no longer a scheduled substance. Now, at that point, the federal government gave the states two options. The federal government is coming down with some guidelines on how states can regulate their own hemp industry, or the states can formulate their own plan and submit that to the federal government and say, in this state, this is how we're going to administer that. Well, our governor, for his foresight, he put together what he called the CHAMP panel. And CHAMP stands for Colorado Hemp Advancement and Management Plan. And it's a collaboration of people in local, state, government, as well as the private sector. And we're divided into 8 different panels on different subjects. Like I'm on the seed and R&D panel. There's also transportation, testing, insurance, different aspects of the hemp industry. And we will be formulating together, the private sector and the government officials, how to move the hemp industry forward in Colorado. And then what comes out of our CHAMP plan is what we will submit to the federal government and say, this is how Colorado's going to do things. So that's one way that we're kind of addressing what you were talking about, is we're trying to do that. It's not easy.
No.
And it's going to take a while. We're still in the wild, wild west here, because the hemp on the federal level has only been legal for 9 months. So we're just now giving birth, I guess.
Yes.
Got out of the gestation period. Now we're giving birth. But it's still the wild, wild west. So,
But you are up against, when it does come to government, you are up against the special interests.
Yes.
And, we're at a stage planetary where our planet's in trouble.
It is.
It's in desperate trouble. And, you know, we keep talking about we're running out of water and we're running out of this, and we're running out of that. And by, 2050, we're going to be running out of food. Well, it seems to me, just by simply what you have said about the hemp, of, mixing it back into the ground with all the nitros or whatever it was you were saying that goes into that combination,
Yes.
on so many areas that are in trouble, that this is something that is almost a UN thing, not just a country thing.
Right.
That
Oh,
this
yes.
is
It's a
something.
worldwide
Yeah.
effort. And we at our cooperative, our favorite word is collaboration.
Oh, my favorite word too.
And I was fortunate enough to hear a live speech by the late uh, Buckminster Fuller, the inventor of the geodesic dome. He was a big advocate of world citizenship,
Mm-hmm.
but he was a brilliant inventor. Like I said, he invented the geodesic dome. But and this is about 1980, and at that time he was saying, if people don't start collaborating instead of being in competition, the
Right.
human race is going to extinguish itself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's very right, so.
Well, Mama Earth is evicting us.
Right, right. Get that pest out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Vermin. Which, if
So,
you look at our behavior, we have become.
yes,
We really have
unfortunately.
become, and we have to really look at our behavior and go, everything that we're reaping at the present moment is because of what we have put out there.
Yeah,
And
we just have to change from competition to collaboration.
also from consumerism,
Yes,
this need that more is more. It isn't,
yeah,
and that you're not defined by what you have, you're defined by who you are.
correct.
And that whole paradigm now is changing, where people are understanding the value of your life is what comes from within you, not what's around you,
Right.
unless it's nature. And then if you are one that is feeding nature, that supplies for all races, on all living creatures, then you're truly abundant, which is
Yeah.
something we need to encourage more.
Yeah, there's only one race, the human race.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if people don't realize that, then we're
Oh,
in big trouble.
we are in big trouble. Yes. People
But
still waking up.
our organization, we're working towards that education. I mean, that's crucial at this point right now, because there's so much misinformation or lack of information about hemp out there. And so we were the first. We did the first program on hemp at RFB TV. And again, that's a 1 hour show. You can go to our website if you want to watch that replay. Our website is cohpc.org. And the website's still a work in progress. We're going to have a CHPC Hemp Emporium, Hemporium, if you will, for all products hemp, because we want to promote hemp products. So hemp products are only used in about maybe 5% of households in the
Mm,
United States. So we've got a huge market
yes.
to expand to. Um, and the audience for our FBTV is rural America. So we did that to get out the correct information about hemp. I mean, there's so much
Hype.
misinformation.
I know.
I was talking to one of my lifelong friends, and she did not know the difference between CBD and THC.
Mhm.
And so one can get you high and the other gets you well, but you
Yes.
don't want. And THC, actually, they've shown in numerous studies that it can kill cancer. But
Yes.
so there is that medical aspect of the cannabis plant. um, but we're going to be just keeping doing education and working towards getting. There was over 90 million acres of corn grown in the United States last year. There was 78,000 acres of hemp, and most of the 95+% of that was all for CBD. Whereas what we want to do is grow it agriculturally cultivated, and what that means is that we're going to be more in harmony with Mother Nature.
Yes.
We're going to grow from seed to seed, and it's not feminized seed. We have both
Yeah.
sexes. We're not sexist. We like male plants and female plants, and so we grow it from seed to seed, and it's going to be fully mechanized from seed to sale. Nobody out there hoeing weeds in the middle of the hot sun.
Hmm.
Um, and um, and then it's whole plant processing. And the difference being in the way that that's cultivated is that whereas the CBD guys plant one plant every 3 feet or 5 feet, and it gets short and bushy, uh, and it you still have room between the plants. There's weeds that you have to take care of. We plant it very densely, 75 to 90 plants per square yard or per square
Hmm.
meter. And what that does two things. Once you plant the seed, you make sure it gets water so it sprouts very quickly. It can sprout in a week. And so once it sprouts, it creates a canopy over the ground because it's so dense and the sunlight can't reach the ground. So the weeds can't get any sunlight, so that you don't have a weed problem. So you don't have to use herbicides. And so, excuse me. And so the other thing that planting it that densely does is because the plants are so crowded, they can't branch out. So they grow just straight and
Mm.
tall. And that's the kind of stalk that you need to decorticate into the bast and the hurd, the two constituent parts. And so and then when you say the plant gets 10 feet tall, and so when it wants this one, and all your seed and your flowers at the top of the plant, because it doesn't really have any branches down below. And so you go through and you harvest the top of the plant, just the top of the plant, and the seed and the flower, and there's some leaves and stems in there. And then you take that to your processing facility and sort that all out. And then you just leave the stalks standing in the field because you want them to dry out, because they decorticate much better when they're dry, because there's a substance called lignin that is the glue that holds the cells together. And as the lignin dries, it makes it easier to separate the bast, which is really the long fiber, the fiber that's traditionally used for textiles, from the hurd, which is the short fiber in the middle of the plant. And that's typically used for things like hempcrete or paper or those kind of things. So you just leave the stock standing. They can stand out there for 2 or 3 months. They can freeze, but you just wanted to get them naturally dried. And then you're not using resources, dryers, gas
Mm.
dryers, any of that stuff. So you're not contributing more to the global warming. You're just letting nature take its course. And then once they're dried, then you come back and harvest those stalks and you run them through the decorticator. And then there's the decorticator line past that. And so if you take the hurd, if as it comes out of the decorticator, it's perfect size already for making hempcrete. And there's a lot of attributes about that. And there's even things way past hempcrete called hemp geopolymers, which I won't even get into right now. But if you want to make paper out of that hurd, you have to further process it almost down to like a powder. So the decorticator line further processes that raw material into whatever spec the buyer needs to make whatever product that they'll make.
What about clothing? What's the process for that?
Well, unfortunately, um, that's typically made out of the bast fiber, which is the outer bark.
Mm.
Um, and that's what they use to make rope and twine and that
Mm.
kind of stuff too. But ever since the clothing manufacturers in the United States have started making synthetic fabrics, there's no infrastructure in the United States left to take that fiber and turn it into a bolt of cloth.
There's an
And that's a
opportunity.
but it's a very expensive opportunity.
Mm.
It's a 50 to $100 million to get the facility to take that fiber and turn it into a bolt of cloth. Um, Now they are talking about chemically processing some of it and then extruding it, and it makes just another synthetic fabric. And if you take that and test it, it'll say no plant material detected. So we don't want that either.
No.
and that we don't want them to artificially process that. But it's going to take a while for the clothing side of things to catch up. China is so far ahead of us in that regard that we can just, buy bolts of cloth from China, and then here we can turn them into finished goods. So
Mm.
that's a more realistic opportunity at this point, because it's going to take a long time to get all that infrastructure in place to take that raw fiber and turn it into a bolt of cloth. But that bast fiber can be, the bast fiber can be used for a lot of other things too, especially building materials.
Mm.
There's a new company down in Kentucky that are making what they call hemp wood, and they've tested it, and it's structurally sound, and you can use it as a replacement for 2x4s or flooring, and so um, that's a positive. But that's where you use the bast fiber. There's also there's supercapacitors, and supercapacitors typically utilize a substance called graphene, and graphene is a one atom layer sheet of carbon. So it's, only one atom thick, but that's what holds the ions in the supercapacitor. Well, graphene is very expensive to produce, and they found that the bast fiber can be processed so that it can be a substitute for graphene at a much less cost, and so you can replace the graphene with the hemp bast fiber and make just as good a super capacitor, which has the capability of helping us with all the energy storage. And a supercapacitor is like a battery, but it's typically a capacitor is fast charge, fast discharge, where a battery is slow charge, slow discharge. But with technology, you can make it a fast charge and a slow discharge. So if you had a hemp supercapacitor in your new Tesla, instead of when you go to charge it up, typically it takes 45 minutes to an hour to charge up that battery in the Tesla. But if you had a hemp supercapacitor in there instead of a regular battery, you could charge it up in 3 minutes.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's just another possibility for the
Well,
hemp
I mean,
fiber.
actually, no, that I'm going to pause you on that one too, because like I know in London, they're changing over all their cabs, all their taxis
Yes,
to electric. And one of the biggest problems they're having right now, there isn't enough stations and it takes so long to charge. Well,
exactly.
in public vehicles, having a quick charge, police, other emergency vehicles, cabs,
Yeah.
everything like that, then that changes the game altogether, doesn't it? It means going
Yes.
electric completely isn't really too far-fetched or far
No.
afield.
And they're still perfecting the hemp supercapacitors, but at least they're doing the work,
Right.
and they'll get there for sure. They're doing actually a test, a big industrial test using hemp supercapacitors down in South Africa for energy storage down there. That's just two. And then the hemp geopolymers that I mentioned, um, uh, you can utilize those in building materials. And just like hempcrete, the nice thing about using hemp as a building material, like hempcrete wall, for example, um, it it has the capacity to breathe water. So if the humidity goes up, the water it takes in the water. As the humidity goes down, it lets it go. So you don't have to worry about mildew or mold.
Right.
And
Right.
um, so that's a real positive. Unfortunately, hempcrete is not strong enough to be load bearing. It can't support a roof.
Right.
So if you're using hempcrete to build a house, you still have to frame it before you make the walls out of hempcrete. And now, granted, maybe you can use the hemp wood that the Kentucky guys are just now coming out with. That may be one alternative. Frame it with the hemp wood and then make your hempcrete walls. Or you can use hemp geopolymers, which we're working with a company that's right now in the final stages of their uh, testing for compliance with the building standards and all of that. And he's going to be building these panels that are like 10 feet, 10 square meters big, and 1 foot thick. And these will be it's all CAD CAM computer generated panels. They'll have spots for the windows and the doors. They'll have pipes in them for the water and the electricity. But then all these modules, they're just like a module. They're kind of like a Lego set.
Lego.
They kind of just all snap together. So once you get those modules made, you can take them out to your building site, and you can erect a 1,200 square foot house in 3 days.
Wow.
And because and the uses and hemp geopolymers, you're using other minerals and things to make the actual material, but it still has that same breathable quality. But it's much better looking. You can texture it, you can put patterns in it, and he's even talking about putting in these frequencies, like the love frequency, as they
Yes.
build the panels.
Right.
And so it would just be infused with that.
Yeah,
So
I've got people who do that.
yeah,
I've got
exactly.
loads of people who do that.
So and but then he uses the herd on the outside, but then he uses the bast fiber as the insulation on the inside. And these walls have a R value of 80, which is unheard of. You know, most houses are 30 or something like that. And so it's energy saving. And so that's just another option for the hemp building materials. So there's so many options. There's so many people doing a lot of research right now.
I'm just pausing you for a moment. Your light seems to have gone out on you.
Oh, I'm probably well, the window in the back. I can turn on a light here.
Yeah, turn on the light a bit.
Is that better or
What,
worse?
for me? No, that's much better.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I'm going to pick that back up. No, I want to break it down now because you've covered so much. Let's just break it down, the 1, 2, 3s, and 4s of exactly what. First and foremost, how long does it take for a field of hemp to grow before you can go to full production?
For whole plant processing, the average, it depends on the cultivars. It depends on when you plant it. It depends on a lot of factors. But in general, it takes about 100 days from the time you plant it till the time it's ready to be harvested.
So kind of like 3.5 months.
Yeah, and some cultivars are maybe 120 days,
Right.
No more than 120 days.
So we're looking under 4 months.
3 to 4 months.
Right,
Yes.
for a full production.
Right.
Now let's break it down exactly what it can do, right? So the flower can create the CB oil.
Yes,
right?
And there's
CBD
even a
oil.
thing now called smokable hemp flower. People are using it instead of cigarettes or even marijuana, because you're still getting the CBD benefits
Right.
of that, even though smoking is not the most healthy
Right.
way to ingest it. It's better than smoking cigarettes.
Yes.
And so that's one possibility also for the flower, besides just the extraction of the CBDs in that.
Okay. Then the leaves and things like this.
The leaves can be made into the biochar. That's the leaves and the stems. Some extractors, there is a little bit of CBD in the leaves and the stems, but it's not a lot. And some extractors just shuck all of the leaves and the stems and the flower just right off the stalk, and then that biomass they put into their extraction facility, and then they get every bit of oil they can out of there. And there's a lot of different extraction methods. The most common is probably ethanol, but there's supercritical CO2. There's people using propane, butane, hexane, and all of these have their positive and negatives. And I'm not the extraction expert, nor do I want to be. We will just produce the flower, and then we will sell it to the extractors, and they can do with it what they will. But that's one market. Then of course there's the hemp seed, which we already talked about some. That's probably one of the most valuable parts. I mean, other than the fact that you're going to be able to make more hemp plants.
Right. Yeah. So let's break down exactly what the hemp seed can do, because I want to summarize it. the 1, 2, 3s of it. So give us a few pointers on the hemp seeds itself, other than the regrowth.
Right. Okay. It can be used for food, and ironically, uh, I can go to Walmart and buy hemp hearts,
Yes.
but I can't take that hemp seed, which is made from hemp seed. It's the inside of the hemp seed, but I can't take my hemp seed that I grow in my field and feed it to a cow. And if that cow is going to be sold on the open market to be consumed by someone, the
Because what
law,
are they're
the
afraid
laws,
that the cow's going to get high and pass
yeah,
on the high. Oh my God,
exactly.
I never mind it.
So it
Uh,
has to. We have to get it on the approved animal food list. Now, if I'm not gonna sell that cow, if I'm just gonna eat that cow myself, I can do that. But if I'm gonna sell it, then I can't. But
right.
that's just the hemp. It also, the oil out of the hemp plant can be a substitute. The hemp seed oil can be used as a substitute for almost any cooking oil.
Hmm.
Um, and you can make flour out of it, so you can make bread or tortillas or whatever you want, and a lot of different possibilities along the food spectrum. And then also the hemp seed oil has got a lot of omega 3s,
Yeah.
omega 6s, omega 9s, so it's really good for your skin. So they make a lot of
Memory,
cosmetics out of that.
skin, heart, everything. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of that. And then, like I said before, you can even make biodiesel out of it, to run, that would run on just a regular normal diesel engine. It'll run on hemp diesel, hemp biodiesel.
So now the inside of the bark that is used for.
The herd, the herd is used for mainly mainly for hempcrete is probably, again, we go back to, food, shelter, clothing. Those
Mhm.
are the three top things that we want to use hemp for. And so it is as perfect for the building materials for the hempcrete and the geopolymers. And as well, you can make it powdery, and you can make plaster out of it, or stucco or something like that. So you can make a nice hempcrete. It's not very pretty by itself, but you
Right.
can make it prettier. But you don't want to lose that breathable quality of it. So
Right.
you need to make, you can't just, see, you don't want to seal it up
Right.
with some other substance,
And
but
of
you
course, the strength of it is quite considerable. The resilience of it.
right. Yeah, it's and I have people talking about, hemp roof panels, and it's conceivable you can build a whole house out of hemp without cutting down a tree, and
Right.
that's the goal that we want to get to. And
Right.
like you said, that, just the fact we're growing hemp instead of trees, we get more oxygen out of that, and so that's positive too. And then in the case of the biochar, we're actually sequestering carbon, so that's cutting down on the global warming.
Right.
And that biochar that was down in the jungle in the Amazon, that was 3,000 years ago, and that biochar is still in that soil. So
Right.
it sequesters it for a really, really long time. Unlike cow manure, for example, it sequesters it also, but only for 2 or 3 years. So it's a long-term sequestration rather than a short-term one.
So, how big a field would you, or acre would you have to have for it really to get up into the carbon, and help with the air? I mean, is this something that every city should look at, creating a hemp park, or growing them just purely to purify the air? I mean, is that feasible?
Um, I don't know on that one. The one thing you have to contend with, and I had my recent last champ panel meeting last Monday um, in Colorado, uh, with the legal and medical marijuana laws. Every person in Colorado can have up to 6 plants of marijuana. So unfortunately, that creates a lot of pollen, and that pollen can actually cross pollinate with the hemp plants. So
Right.
that makes the hemp plant more unstable, the genetics. So that's a big problem we have to worry about right now. I envision the day when both the CBD growers and the medical and rec cannabis growers, they will have to grow indoors,
Mhm.
because if they don't want their crops to be pollinated, that's the only way they're going to be protecting them, because we're going to have millions of acres of agriculturally cultivated industrial hemp, and there's going to be a lot of pollen out there, and the only way that they're going to be able to continue what they're doing is to do it indoors, which of course makes it more expensive too.
Right, exactly.
Greenhouse or indoor
Mm.
grows are
Well, I
very
mean, they've already
expensive.
got greenhouses for other things. So just, it's
Well,
changed over,
yeah.
really, you know?
Yeah, well, they if they're growing for CBD, they're doing clones, they have to have a greenhouse anyway, or an
Mm.
indoor grow facility, in order to get their clones ready for transplanting outside.
Yeah. So everything is feasible. The thing is, we know that,
Yeah,
when there is a need for something, there's always a solution for something. Then it's just the applying of it,
right, right.
and the reindustrializing one thing to another because the other is more beneficial. So, which part is used to I mean, you say to feed the cows, but also to mix in with the soil that then
That's the
neutralizes.
biochar. That's the
That's
biochar.
the inside.
And that's no, that's actually that's the stalks that are being wasted by the CBD guys
Okay.
and the cannabis guys, and then any waste that we would have in our process um, when we break down the hemp plant into the seed, the flower, and the bast and the hurd. There's still going to be some stems and leaves and waste there that we can utilize to turn into biochar. Um,
And this
and
would benefit all livestock. I
yes,
mean, what I want
yes,
you to see is a reduction on meat eaters anyway, because we've inhumanely become meat manufacturers, and what these
yes,
animals go through. And people have got to understand, if an animal is treated and terrorized, you're actually eating that chemical
yeah, yeah,
in the body. So anything that is more humane and more respectful and obviously passes on the nutrition is better. So while people are still going to eat meat, at least eat healthier meat,
yeah,
but the cow being healthier and a healthier environment around it, because this huge manufacturing of animals is creating such a problem globally in the world with is it methane, or what is it? Does it
yes, methane
methane?
mostly, yes,
Right. And water, it consumes so much more water than
sure.
is needed. So there's a lot of things that we can change too. Now, hemp's been around for one hell of a long time.
It's been around a lot longer than we have, and that's why
Yeah.
we have an endocannabinoid system in our bodies, because we actually adapt. Animals used to eat hemp. Hemp was before animals, and then the animals came along. They started eating it. Then came along, and started eating the animals, and so that endocannabinoids have been
Mm.
just passed down the chain in the evolutionary chain. So that's why we have our own endocannabinoid system in our bodies. And
So
so
when did that change? Why did we stop producing hemp?
because it was a threat to big timber industry, big
Uh-huh.
pharma industry,
Mm.
and all of that.
So
Petroleum.
basically, it's the last
Petroleum.
couple of 100 years then,
No,
150 to
it
200
only
years.
changed in the 1930s.
Oh, really? Not even
Yeah,
that far back, right?
yeah.
Right.
That's when it
So
was.
again,
That was.
greed, greed.
It was all greed. It was people like Hearst and
Mhm.
Carnegie and those guys that saw it as a threat, and they unfortunately are just like now. They had enough politicians bought and paid for that they
Right.
could get that done, and really they were banning hemp more than marijuana, but
Yes.
they
But
they
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 steered the
used
hysteria in the other way.
the
Yeah.
the reefer madness
Yeah.
was a way to get
Yeah.
both of them banned.
Yeah.
So
Because we know fear sells, and people buy fear by the
yeah,
dozens. Yeah.
yeah.
With the Amazon right now, so much of it being burned, would you see, some of this hemp stuff being the way to kind of bring the Amazon back? It's going to take a long time for trees to grow there again, but could you see hemp being a beneficial part to any land that is burnt?
Oh
Because,
yes.
because is it fairly adaptable into that kind of soil to
It,
grow in?
you can grow hemp on every continent except for Antarctica. It's very adaptable. There's thousands and thousands of strains of hemp out there, cannabis, and I see it as very feasible as a interim crop
Hmm.
until the trees can come back.
Right, because
It
trees, I mean, they take numerous amount of years to mature.
right,
But in the meantime, the hemp can be neutralized, neutralizing and nutritionalizing
yeah,
the soil, and then also be, the president of Brazil. It's like, oh, we want our, Amazon people to have cattle because they'll make more money than the Amazon gifts that it has to the world. Well, how
yeah,
about hemp instead?
yeah.
Right?
Well, hemp is a phytoremediation plant, and they're actually using it at Fukushima and Chernobyl to help clean up some of that radioactivity.
Yeah.
And the thing also with biochar, you can do a process with biochar called oxidatively modify it. And what that does is that adds more ionization to it because a lot of its filtration properties come from ionization. And once you do that, it has enough ionization to filter out things like radium.
Mm.
So you can filter out radioactive elements with using hemp biochar filters. It can not only, it's not only good for soil remediation, it's good for water filtration and air filtration. So there's three uses of biochar besides soil remediation.
So, I mean, Africa, where all the lands are parched,
Yeah,
right?
and it does retain water, so
Right.
it helps the soil retain water. Most of your microbiome in the soil is aquatic, so if it gets too dry, they just kind of go into hibernation and don't do anything, or they die. And so, the more water you can keep in the soil, the better for the health of the soil. That's why we're really looking towards uh, 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 cultivation that is regenerative and
Mm.
sustainable rather than the GMO type of
Right.
stuff. You
Yeah.
know, we want to do everything the more natural way, and and if you plow a field, for example, you're undoing hundreds of years of building that soil because
Yes.
you're breaking up all the arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi and all these other things that help the soil. The soil uh, biology is more complex than the Amazon. There's more organisms in a handful of soil than on the whole of the earth. So you you got to treat the soil right
Yeah.
first, and it's a natural way to do it is with the hemp biochar. So
So, would it be a good idea in between harvesting to then harvest hemp at least once because it's, a 4 month period, and then reseed and plant, what it is you want to grow after there, like wheat or anything else, because then the hemp has nutritionalized the soil?
yeah, it depends on where you're at, your latitude and your growing season, how long your growing season is. But you never want to have bare soil.
Right.
That's the worst because it gets too hot and the microbiome doesn't like that. Gets too dry,
Mm.
microbiome doesn't like that. Whereas if you have organic material in the soil and then some type of cover crop, it keeps the soil cooler, it retains the moisture. And so all of those regenerative farming methods are absolutely essential to utilize moving forward if we're going to really do this the right way.
Will it grow
Uh,
nicely in the winter?
no, oh, no,
Not during snow, but well.
no, you have to be above freezing. The hemp plant excuse me, the hemp plant can sustain light freeze a little bit, but heavy freeze,
No.
it's a annual, it's not a perennial.
Right.
So you couldn't grow it here in Colorado outside unless you would have to grow it in a greenhouse. Um, you just can't do it. So that is one limitation, but you can grow a hemp crop and then maybe, for example, plant uh, winter wheat on that,
Mm.
and then it would come up, and you could harvest that, and then you could still get in another hemp crop later, because you can plant hemp. The best is to plant it in this latitude. Uh, uh, Plant it like in April. You can plant it. The earlier you plant it, the taller the plants are going to get. Because the hemp plant has basically two phases to its growth cycle. One is a propagation one where it grows tall, and then the second one is the flowering, where it stops growing and it just puts all its energy into making the flower. Um, so the longer you have in that, and it's a time sensitive thing by the length of the day
Mm.
is when the hemp plant changes from the propagation to the flowering mode. And so the earlier you have it in, the taller you're going to get, and the more biomass you're going to get. So you want to get it in early and give it the most time that you can for that propagation period. If you can get it in late, but you're just going to have short plants. And
So, I mean, how many times a year can you plant it in 1 year?
really only one, and get a good crop, because you're limited again by the freezes. Like our growing season here is about 160 some days.
Right. So it
So
depends where you are. If you're
it depends on
California or
your,
other places, you can
yeah,
do more. Right.
yeah. Down in Mexico, they can
Yes.
probably get two, maybe even three crops a year. Anywhere where it doesn't freeze,
Right.
you can get, two or three crops. But we're limited. But then when in the tropics, the hemp has a tendency to produce higher levels of THC. So you got to be really careful there if you're going to, because you have to stay under that 0.3% to be considered hemp. And that's another whole issue. That's an arbitrary number.
Right.
If it was 1%, nobody's going to get high on 1%. And even though, and the way our laws are written here in Colorado, if you go over that 1%, or over that 0.3%, you're supposed to destroy the crop.
Oh
And
my God.
that makes no sense.
No.
The Department of Agriculture gives you a little slack if it's over 3.3, but under 1%. They won't make you destroy it, but you can't sell it to anybody. You can use it for your own use, but you can't sell it. But if it goes over that 1%, they do make you destroy it. And so one of the things that came out of the meeting that we were talking about is we just need to change the law. So if a hemp crop does go hot, which means goes over the 0.3%, then we can still utilize it. You just can't utilize it in something that's going to be ingested. So
Right.
you can't do the smokable flour, you can't do beverages, you can't do tinctures, you can't do food. But you can make hempcrete out of it, or you can
Right.
make hemp supercapacitors, or you can make ethanol or biodiesel, or all of those things.
It's amazing actually when you think about it, like how many things hemp is so useful for, and how ridiculous it is that we have allowed this industry. Here we go and get incredible technology, machinery. Imagine back in the 30s, the 50s, the 60s, as we were advancing technically with machinery, with hemp, we would
Right.
not be facing the
No.
dire need that we're facing here today. This
No.
whole eco solution, that is this eco problem that's going out right now, is man's making through
Sure.
man's greed.
Yeah.
So here are the solutions. There's always solutions around. This is why the show's called Eco Solutions, because there are so many solutions. One of the
Right.
biggest problems is breaking the laws that have been protecting the few's bank balances
I call them
at the cost of
greedy
the
a-holes.
exactly. And the thing is, we've got to stand up and say no more. We're just not
Yes.
going to tolerate
Yes.
this no more. And I think the whole political system that's especially going on around in the world, and especially North America at the present moment,
Yeah.
and everybody's shaking their head going, oh my God, how could this ever happen? And I think
Right.
it had to happen because it had to show us how bad it had got.
Right.
When you've got somebody tweeting everything, it's all exposed, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
before it used to be quietly behind closed doors.
Sure. Sure.
Now it's, so what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Because it's an invitation for us to wake up, step up, and do something about it.
Well, and that's where the internet can be useful,
Yes.
because now we can actually share valid information
Yeah.
with that, and not all the fake news and the fake
Yes.
and all of that.
Hysteria. Yeah.
Yeah, we can actually communicate the reality, that how we want to create the new reality, and make it sustainable. I mean, and back to Buckminster Fuller, if we don't, we're going to be
Right.
extinguished.
Yes, absolutely. And this is no joke.
No,
You
it's
know,
not.
it's also, vibrationally, we're putting so much negative vibration into this planet. She's beginning to crack up. This is why we're
Yeah,
seeing so much retaliation from her.
yeah,
And, it's this is our causing. We are, I think, 0.1% species on this planet, yet we are
right.
most destructive. And it all comes down to greed.
Yep.
And, we have to look at greed as the enemy.
Yeah.
And that is what we have to take on.
And greed actually comes from competition.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we're taught that from first grade.
Right.
I want to get a better grade than you.
Yeah.
We're in
Yeah.
competition for good grades, and so we
Right.
got to change that whole thinking.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the Japanese, they don't even give their first three grades any grades. They just teach them how to be good people.
Right.
They don't issue grades, and
Yeah.
that's what we have to do,
Yeah.
is follow that kind of model.
We've
where-
put so much importance on self-importance rather than the investment into self. And so many people are suffering from depressions, from anxiety, from, who the hell am I? The amount of divorces, the amount of people turn to drugs or turn to something else because they're seeking themselves, because everything has been an outside and nothing
yes,
has been an inside job.
yeah,
And this whole thing to do with Mother Earth right now, and her stamping her feet and saying, I'm not going to take this anymore. We have the solutions. It's just we've got to check our behavior. And
yes.
our behavior right now on this planet, in every way, it is causing the problems here. And
Oh, definitely.
it's time to reflect. It's
Right.
time to look. It's when you're pointing a finger, it's that person's fault. Politician's right. There's three fingers pointing back at you.
Yes.
How are you a part of this equation? What are you doing? Okay, no, you can't go
Yeah.
out and grow a hemp, but how about looking at the people who are growing and start buying the products?
Yeah, it's supporting the hemp
Yes,
growers in some way.
exactly.
That it's such a crisis that's in this rural America right now, and it's been caused by the greed of
Yeah.
big ag and big pharma. And there's record suicides from
Yes.
farmers, record bankruptcies, and it's because they've monopolized everything. They've turned the 21st century farmer into an indentured servant,
Mm-hmm.
and they get in these financial holes and they just can't get out. And so we want to use hemp to change all of that.
Right.
And that's why our model is a collaborative model. It's a cooperative. It's a true cooperative where we protect and reward the people doing the work,
Mm-hmm.
but we also have the ability to raise funds to build our processing facilities, and those people will get they will get paid back, and then they will join the rest of us in sharing the rewards as we move forward. But it's a whole different business model than the corporate model. It's
Yes.
it's a collaborative model that
Yeah.
works for everybody. It's a win-win-win situation. It's a win for you. It's a win for me. It's a win for Mother Earth. And so that's why we've chosen that model. And if people want to learn more, they can go to our website. We're still working on that. Buy hemp products, buy hemp hearts. Support the hemp industry is important. Like I said, there's only 5% of the households that have used a hemp product. So we've got a long way to go. We want to build these markets up to where we have millions and millions of acres of hemp cultivated, and providing the food, the housing, and the clothing,
And the oxygen.
and the oxygen.
And
Yeah,
the
don't forget
nutritional
about yeah.
for the soil. I mean, it's just it's there is nothing to argue about here
No,
except get off your greedy horse and make this, yes, you can protect it, because one of the things you're protecting of an overgrowth in the wrong places. right? You've got to make sure that it's spaced
Sure.
out so that you're not
Right.
over, as you said, pollinating. But there's enough for everybody in the world.
Oh, yes.
And you know, this is another thing we've been brought up to believe: scarcity, scarcity. Get while you can. And it's like, if nobody should go hungry in this world,
No.
nobody, because the amount of waste of food,
Well, there's plenty of
criminal.
resources. They're
Yes,
just being hoarded by the
yes,
upper 1%,
yeah, exactly.
unfortunately.
And you know, the thing is, upper 1%, why are we giving them all the power?
Yeah.
We're 99%. And how you change politicians is by changing your community. And as a community standing together saying, no, we're not going to do it your way. You
Exactly.
represent us, you're going to do
Exactly.
it our way. So the
Yeah.
99% stand up,
Yeah.
please
Well,
be
that's the way we
counted.
feel about our business collaborators. You know, if they don't want to play by our rules, you don't play with us,
Right.
because these are the rules that are meant to protect and keep us from going down that wrong
Rabbit
path
hole.
that
Yeah.
we're already at. So that's how we're moving
Well,
forward.
it's a
How,
collaborative community, isn't it? And what we've got to
yes,
understand is that we're all communities, whether it's global, whether it's local, it doesn't
right.
matter. We're all communities. And if everybody stepped up, it's not about my community against yours. No, it's my
Right.
community. And how can I collaborate with yours? How can
Yes.
I support yours? How can I celebrate yours? Because it's like big, huge feast at the table. Everybody's going to bring a dish,
Yeah.
right?
And being today, and I know this is going to be aired later, but the on 9/11, after the original 9/11, people all came together
Mm-hmm.
regardless of race,
Yeah.
religion, any of that.
Finances, position. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we need just to have that as esprit de corps come back.
Yes, it's got to not be just at a time of crisis.
No,
This
all
has
the
got
time.
to be how you conduct your community, your life, yourself on
Right.
everyday basis. And as I said, the solutions are all theirs. They say, you know, God doesn't give a disease without a cure a few feet away. And hemp, just look at the benefits. There's so many
And we've
benefits
just
to it.
talked about a few of them.
Right, right. And I'm sure there's even more to be discovered,
Oh,
you
sure.
know, but it's the thing, one little seed, you know, and it's actually taken into looking at us. We come from one tiny little seed. Look
Yeah.
how incredible we can be when
Yeah.
we choose to water and nurture our conscience, our capabilities, our love, our caring, our kindness. When we decide to nurture that, we are an amazing human beings that can be so
Yes.
productive and so creative and so giving. And that's what a hemp seed is doing. So, you know,
Yeah, and if you give that hemp seed to a chicken, he's going to make better eggs.
right. And you're going to eat better eggs without all
Yeah.
the chemicals in it. So
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer all along the line. And, you know, it doesn't matter what crops are out there, whatever it's
Yeah.
feeding, it's you're getting a product that is good for you, no matter which way we use it.
Yeah. And that's why we're in this industry. We want to just do everything we can to bring that to every person on this planet, that have, give them food, give them shelter, give them housing, give them a way to make a living, give them healthy food, give them
Dignity,
yes, and nobody, like
opportunity,
like you
you know?
say, nobody has to go hungry in this
No,
world. There's plenty of resources to feed
yes.
everybody, but they're just not allocated properly. And the hemp plant can do that, because anybody can take a hemp seed and plant it and give it a little water.
Yeah, yes,
It's
yes,
not that easy to grow, believe me,
yeah.
but that's the basics, and that can be done on every continent except Antarctica. You can probably do it there in a greenhouse, but
Yeah,
terribly
yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, but you know, you've got some people that go and live there underground. Yeah, grow some of your
Right.
own hemp seeds while you're
Sure.
there, right? You
Yeah, they
know,
could do
all of it.
that.
Yeah,
Definitely
exactly.
do that.
Point is, there's always a solution, and you've decided to take this solution and produce it in a way that, as you said, you're doing it with the community, you're doing it as a cooperative, where everybody comes together. There is no hierarchy. You're in it together. You're all
Yes.
creating this wonderful feast to share out with the community.
Yes.
So can you again give us your site again, spell it out for people so they exactly know, and how people can get hold of you if they're interested and want to know more, or how they could be a part of
Sure.
this?
The website is CO, like the abbreviation for Colorado, COHPC, Colorado Hemp Processing Cooperative, COHPC.org. And there's, if you want to get a hold of me, there's a place you can send me an email there, or there's my phone number on there, and you can call me. We're all about collaboration. I would recommend that you go to the media page and watch the 1 hour show we did on RFB TV, because that has a lot of good information. We'll answer a lot of your questions. I'm only one guy. I can't do it all, so I need a lot of collaboration. We're looking at partners right now. Uh, we have we are a limited cooperative association, so we do have patron members, we have investor members. So if you want to get involved and you have some funds that you would like to invest and get involved in the hemp industry, you can become a patron member. If you use any hemp product at all, you're a patron. Or if you want to be an investor member, and that's all spelled out on the website. And there'll be we're not done with the website yet. There'll be a backside to the website for just the shareholders, and that's where we'll do our voting for our board of directors and stuff. But also there'll be an area there that we're going to call the hemp list, kind of like Craigslist, where all the shareholders can interact with each other and share whatever they want to share, whether it's cultivars or equipment or help or expertise, and we'll have a lot of resources posted on there. But that's just going to be for the shareholders only. But the front part will also have the Hemporium, where anybody can just go there and purchase hemp products. So because we have to build the markets up. So you can't grow all the hemp if you have no markets for all the products. So
and you're building your site right now to put up the hemp products, because they're not there yet. So that's in the process of it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
The site is up, but just realize that it's not totally finished yet. Yeah,
right,
it's a lot of work to do that.
Now, as far as people participating, is it only Americans, or is this open globally?
It's open to anyone.
Right.
And there you can sign up as a shareholder on the site if you like. We originally looked at crowdfunding, and there was some questions about whether it's because we're a Colorado cooperative, whether other people from out of state could participate.
Right.
And there was no answers in any of the statutes or any kind. So I ended up calling the SEC legal department and asking them, and they didn't know the answer because nobody had asked the question.
Well, now that's been asked.
But they finally got back to me and said, yes, you can. And they approved us being on a crowdfunding website, which goes globally. And so that told me legally we can solicit from any country and any state that wants to participate. And our ultimate goal is to have similar cooperatives in every state, and then every cooperative owns shares of every other cooperative, so we can all share all those best practices, standard operating procedures, cultivars, sales and marketing of the materials that we're producing, and on and on and on. So again, we're collaborating at a much bigger level.
There's enough for everything to go around, and the whole thing is when something is working, why try and compete with it? Work with it, duplicate it, right? And then we just see the whole principle of what it is grow.
Yeah,
right?
Like Colorado, we have it divided into 6 regions. We want to have a processing facility in every region, and then each region kind of has their own local control over their region, and so you still can make decisions. You're not being dictated to by the outside, but then we can all work together and build the industry and hold down our expenses, because you're not having to haul that material 300 miles or something to the nearest processing centers.
It makes sense. I mean, the whole thing makes sense. The hemp makes sense. Everything that it can do. I want to see this get out there and start being the wheat, so called, and the way it grows, like the corn, the way it grows. I want to see hemp out there. There's just far too many things that it can do that can be the future for this planet. And there's so many benefits. I can't hear a downside to
Right.
anything. Everything you've talked about, there hasn't been any downside to it. There might be that
No.
the weather, um, but there's nothing that causes a problem. Nothing causes a problem with it. Everything can be used, and
Yes.
that's the beauty of it. And the way it can be used isn't a side thing. It's a huge industry on its own.
Right.
There's so many industries that come off this
Right.
that it's just a lovely spider web that keeps growing and
Yeah.
growing.
Well, it. I'm no youngster, and
Yeah, you should be retiring now, not starting
it
again.
but it's like I just found my passion,
Yeah, yeah,
and but it took me those 60 plus years to learn all the lessons I needed to
yep.
learn to know what truly my passion is, and
I hear
why
you.
that's my passion.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this is my passion. I'm going to be working for working on this the rest of my days, and we just are looking for people to join us and collaborate with us, help us, because again, I'm only one guy and I'm not going to be around forever. So everybody's got to pitch in and help and build this industry into what it can be, and supply food and housing and and clothing for every person on earth,
yeah.
and make everybody's lives better. And that's what we're working towards.
And your other platform that you had, which I always got the name wrong. I'm not even going to try it because listening back to the show,
Yeah.
I just couldn't get my name around
Yeah.
it. But the principle of what you had there could be so merged into this.
Well,
You
this
could
is
bring the two together,
we
and
brought
because it's
that
the same principle.
yeah, we brought that global picture down to
Yeah,
the local level,
right,
utilizing hemp. So
right.
we're using those same principles, but we focused on hemp to
And
do
then
that.
from that seed,
We'll grow
the whole
back.
global picture will grow back again. So it's the
Exactly.
same thing that you were trying to do there of bringing communities, global
Right.
community together, like-minded heart, soul, spirit people coming
Exactly.
together. You're just doing it now with the product hemp. So
Yes.
it's just the merging of the two now. So
Yeah. So, um, what else you want to talk about?
I think we've covered a lot here, which we
Yes.
definitely have. And, I always knew hemp was a good product, but I didn't know it could do that much or how much benefit it is. And we're constantly hearing about disasters and this and that, but there's always answers. And hemp seems to be something that really could help so many areas as an interim to helping the soil rejuvenate, oxygenate, something that can grow, that can be of an industry for something while it is rejuvenating and rebuilding its natural self. So I just see it being an incredible product in so many different areas. And thank you for instead of retiring, pouring yourself into this. For me, until I can't hear, see, or do anything anymore, I'm also going to be doing this forever.
Good.
Be what did you say?
Well,
But when you
thank you for having us on
Oh,
your
always,
program.
always. When you find somebody with that conviction and that passion, that is definitely what's driving you. It's a brilliant product, but it's not just what the product can do, it's how it can bring people together, how it serves so many communities, how easy it could be started up. It's not like a massive investment to start it up, is it?
Well, it's going to take money, but it's
Yes,
not.
but it's
eh,
not like some of the industries that you have.
no,
Just
no.
basically a good piece of land, the proper
Yeah.
seeds, the proper cultivation of it, and then obviously having a place to market it or
Well,
produce the production side of it.
all boils down to having the processing facility,
Yeah,
and we just want to be at the tier one processing facility, make those 5 products: the seed, the flower, the bast, the herd, and the biochar, and then those will go to second tier processors or
yes,
manufacturers. They can do with it what they want, and we stop right there. So
right.
that just stimulates local business, little hemp cottage
Yeah,
industries, if you will, and brings economic security, more economic stimulus to rural area America. And then also we're looking at a third step too. We want to have all of those. We want to have the processing facility, and right across the street have the second tier processors or manufacturers, and then somewhere near have the retail side of that too. So you've come full circle on the scale, and you're stimulating the economy, local economy, in 3 ways. You've got people working at the processing facility, people working at the manufacturing facility, and people working in the retail side.
Right.
So we're proposing that for here in La Junta. We're talking to Greeley about that, and we're talking to people in Texas about that. So that's kind of the bigger stimulus is not only just the processing facility, but the manufacturing and the retail side.
I mean, there's an awful lot of jobs that are going to be lost now through automation.
Yes.
So we need new industries.
Yes.
And we need industries that serve the planet, that serve humanity, that also create sustainability and jobs. This can
Yeah.
be it.
And good jobs,
Good jobs.
not minimum wage jobs.
No, and jobs that you're producing something that isn't just serving the ivory towers.
Right.
It's serving the whole
Yeah.
community, and it's something you can take pride in being a part of because you know that there isn't contamination in what's going out in it. It's not a
Right.
GMO product,
Sure.
right, harming someone. So again, a win-win. So I think that there are a lot of towns and things that are needing to rejuvenate because industry has left. This
Yes.
is the people should be coming to talk to you. How can we do this? Because it could rejuvenate our town. All right. So this is,
Yes.
let's look further than just here, guys. Let's look at the expansion and what it can mean to your community, and especially to communities that industries have left or are changing, and you
Right.
have a high workforce. This is an industry that is really so far building. It's unbelievable. So they should get hold of you, right?
Yep. Just go to our website, cohpc.org, and you can find a lot of information. Again, there's several places on the media that we've been on, so you can
This will
watch
be on there
those.
as well. Don't forget to share this show too.
Yes, this show will be on there also. And right now, like I said, the big thing right now is education.
Yes.
Getting out the proper education about the hemp plant, how it's different from the cannabis, the
Yes.
rest of the cannabis plants, and
just how
what
much it
benefits.
can do. Yes. I mean, this is the thing. It just how much can it do? There's so many building materials that have become so expensive. Well, we have to get them from other countries.
Yeah.
And then there's the tariff war and this war and that war.
Oh my gosh.
How about you make it, quote, in country?
Yes.
This is truly American made. And if you want to do it in Canada, Canada made.
Sure.
It doesn't matter where you are if you want to set this up in whatever country, right? You can still be part of that cooperative where the
Yes.
information and everything is being shared.
Yeah.
So,
a lot of other countries are ahead of us on some of that.
Yeah.
Some of the European countries.
Yes.
Even,
European countries are way ahead in a number of things.
Yeah. But we'll catch up. But the nice thing is we get to rejuvenate this industry using 21st century technology.
Yes.
So that's a real godsend, and we're going to be able to expand it at a much faster rate than if we were back in 1920 or something.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Technology is absolutely brilliant, but let's use it productively with a natural product that serves so many different areas.
Right.
Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for changing directions. You're in
Well,
a good direction
just more
here.
focus. Just more focus.
Yeah. It still involves people and community and citizenship.
Yes.
It's global citizenship that you've been promoting, and you're doing it now, but you're just using the product hemp as a platform in which to build those communities and build that citizenship. So it's still all done, in favor of humanity stepping up and humanity seeing themselves as the solution, and humanity looking at each other as a collaborative and not a competition. So.
Yeah, and that's all I would say is just if you have that same feeling about what you just said, just join us and help us any way you can.
Right, exactly. It's the future.
Yep.
Hemp is the future. It's far too good a product, and I'd rather see it become community-based everywhere than some big corporation come in.
Right. That's another nice thing about the collaborative model with the cooperative. There's certain checks and balances in that model that kind of is an anathema to big corporations being able to come and monopolize everything. So that's another reason we chose that model.
And if there's the more cooperatives you have, masses of little pods
Yeah,
coming together. One big corporation is going to find it much harder to stamp you out. So
exactly.
if you want to face the giant, come on, Davids, step
Yeah.
forth.
And we're if anybody wants to do a local cooperative in their area,
Yes.
then call me. We can
Yep.
help you do that. We want to help anybody that wants to do that, because
Right.
that to me is the business model of the future.
Exactly, 100%. It's not about the big giants anymore. We've seen how they chew people up and spit them out. It's about communities. Always say the village is only as strong as each other's participation. So
Yes.
look at your community as your village. What are you participating in? How are you supporting each other? How are you protecting yourselves? From the dictatorship of the big
Yeah.
corporates,
Yeah.
and you can grow. You can grow, it's a great concern, but growing as a cooperative means that everybody still has a say.
Yes.
Everybody's still a part of it. Everybody benefits from it. And it's not just promoting the ivory towers.
Right. You share the risk, share the rewards,
Yeah, exactly. As
and
it
share
should
the
be.
responsibility.
Yes, yes. But I mean, the rewards, especially when you all work together and there is a big reward to it. I mean, that collaboration is just so heartfelt and so pleasing. There isn't anything like it, right? So
That's correct.
it's not just the corporate bosses now giving themselves a pat on the back and big shares for all the work you've done.
Yeah.
This is all of you have done the work. All of you are going to see the benefits. All of you can celebrate that. All of you can
Yeah.
take pride in that and have a heartfelt feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah, there is a sizable segment of the hemp community that feels exactly that same way, and it's so refreshing to be among a bunch of
Yeah.
people like that. That you just they rejuvenate you. They share their energy with you, and everybody's energy level goes up, and so that's what we need to promote is that type of uh, um, vibrational enhancement, if you will.
Yes, and as I have said on many shows before, we need to be resonating at 580 hertz. That's the love vibration.
Yeah,
When you're in that, you're feeding the waters. Everything is on a positive frequency where you don't wish to do harm to anyone. You only wish to share love and kindness and caring. And
yeah,
that will actually take the pressure off the earth and put us all on a much better level. So, most certainly, let's raise some good
yes.
vibrations.
Well, my daily mantra is I give gratitude to the powers that be, to God, if you will, for every nanosecond of love,
Mm-hmm.
joy,
Mm-hmm.
and perfect peace.
Yes. And perfect peace is an inside job.
Yep.
And it is, I think, also, as you said, you found your calling. I found my calling here with
Yes.
Self-Discovery Media. When you find it and you really truly love what you're doing, you're so committed to what you're doing, it isn't a job. It's a
No.
passion, it's a
Yes.
conviction,
Yes.
and you are resonating on that love vibration all the time. And
Yes.
that frequency of love and passion and conviction is constantly going out, being picked up by others. So,
Yes.
step into
And
your passion,
and
right?
you're entraining them by
Yes.
raising their vibration.
Yes, unknowingly, you've just, turned the
Yep.
volume up.
Yep. Thank you so much for turning my volume up.
Thank you very much. Thank you for what you're doing. I'm delighted to see him, back on, really getting out there and none of this balderdash that was
Yeah.
there. And it's up to us to maintain it, to sustain it, to build it. It's up to us. Don't please look to your politicians. Don't look to any of that. We change the laws by changing the way everything else is done. And it means community. Community is always stronger than a loud voice. So
Yes.
be the song that drowns that annoying voice out of the
Yeah,
picture.
for sure.
All
Thank
right,
you.
love. Thank you so much, and great to have you back on again. I still invite you to go and listen to his other show with us, which is here on the posting. Although he talks about, the citizenship, he's just doing it in a different way. This is a different citizenship that he's talking about right now, because he's taking hemp as being the source to build that citizenship out. So it's all about community, it's all about coming together, it's all about love and respect for one another, embracing each other's differences and contributions. But everything is about service. What service can I be to you and you to me? Because that's how the world goes around. So thank you so much, Duane.
Thank you,
And
Sara.
until next time, folks, remember, you are the answer that we seek. There is always a solution, and we invite you to be a part of it. Until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show and were inspired. Come and visit us at selfdiscoverymedia.com and see what other shows we have for you. And please do visit our selfdiscoverycommunity.org and see how you can be a part of giving back. Thank you very much.